What's that? Oh, that's better. I thought I was looking at a pile of crap.
And he's loose!
Hey guys, what's up? JoZ back here with another Vikings game preview. And we're previewing the Vikings versus Panthers game this Sunday, and it should be a good one. So let's talk about it, and let's start off with the ever so happy injury report. So it's not too big for the Vikings. Listed down here, but I had full participation in C.J. Ham, Linval Joseph, Andrew Sandeo, and Eric Kendricks. Full participation, so they should be ready to go. This is as of the 6th. Did not participate David Morgan and Mike Remmers. Morgan has a concussion and Remmers has a lower back injury, and he is coming off a concussion. So both of those, I would expect both to not play, which means maybe some Blake Bell. So that should be interesting to see what that kid has, since we got him instead of Bucky Hodges pretty much right before the season. And then Pat Elflein has had limited participation with a sole shoulder injury. I think he'll play, but even if we don't, we could always have Danny Isidora slide in at guard, move Berger at center, we're good to go. So our depth of offensive line being so much better than last year. About Mike Remmers, the only thing that matters for him is to get him back eventually, because Rashad Hill's not that big of a drop-off. You'll go from an average player to slightly below average player, but a developmental player. So you want Remmers healthy mostly because you just want more depth at offensive line, but it's not that big of a shot right now. But make sure he's healthy by playoff time, right? Which, by the way, we can clinch a playoff spot for those that are wondering by either winning this week. We clinched just a playoff spot. It's not the division quite yet, I believe, and then. Or we win the division with the Lions and Packers both lose. So looking pretty well set. For the Panthers injury report, did not participate is Mike Adams, Kalen Clay, Tyler Larson, Julius Pepper, Jonathan Stewart, and Shaq Thompson. All pretty big name players. Mike Adams, a very good safety. Clay is their return guy. Julius Pepper is their best sack guy. Jonathan Stewart's their #1 back as far as rushing, and Shaq Thompson is a stud linebacker. So they have so many pieces that could be out that it's looking real good for the Vikings. I would rather beat any team at full health, so we can say, hey, we beat them at their best, respect us. But teams don't respect us anyways, so why would we want that? Next, limited participation, more big names. They're some of the biggest name players on the Panthers team. Thomas Davis, Ryan Khalil, the good Khalil, and Cam Newton, their quarterback. All three are listed with limited participation. I would expect them to do all play, but this does mean that it could be a risk of they could be slowed down at very least for game day. And by the way, for the players that did not participate, 2 of them, Mike Adams and Julius Peppers, were listed on here. Their injury was rest. So I guess they just pretty much got a day off. So I would expect them to play, but they're listed on here regardless. Full participation, Devin Funchess, Christian McCaffrey, and Greg Olsen are listed on here as well, but they have full participation. Expect them to play. Greg Olsen finally coming back, and he's one of the better tight ends in the league. So that should be a fun matchup to watch that transpire. So let's look at team stats, and what you see offensively, a very average offense. Right at the average mark, 16th in the league at 22.4 points a game for total offense. Total yards, 328 if you really get if they score 3,000 yards a game, which is 18th. 200.9 pass yards a game, which is 25th, pretty poor, and 127.8 rush yards a game, which is 5th. So as you can see, their forte is running the football with their read option with Cam Newton, and they have 2 very solid backs, probably in top 5 as far as dual back system, like the Saints in 1, Vikings 2, and the Panthers are in there too. I forgot the Falcons would be #1. But anyways, a very solid dual back system, and Cam Newton's kind of a third running back, might be the best running back on their team, but they like to have him throw every now and again, and you see that, like they run the ball a lot, they pass enough. And that kind of goes in the record. They're 8-4 in the year for a reason, so they're a solid team. They'll probably make the playoffs. Defensively, a little bit better. 19.8 points a game, which is 10th. 297.6 yards a game against them is 6th. 209 pass yards is 7th. and 88.6 rush yards a game against them is 4th. So they rush well, and you don't run very well against them, which is fine because we have one of the best aerial attacks in the league, which brings me to point number 1. This will be the game that we get our vertical passing game back. The only thing that could be somewhat scary for the Panthers is some of their edge rushers, because they do have some talented guys that can get after the quarterback. But can they get after Case Keenum and the Vikings offensive line? I don't think so. So I think we will block too good for their 4-man rush to get to us. They'll have to blitz. They'll open up guys to get open. Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs should have themselves a very good day. Let's look at some of the individual stats. Starting with their quarterback, Cam Newton. He's completed 228 passes out of 377 attempts for a 60.5 completion percentage. Threw for 2,583 yards, a 6.9 average, 16 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, a 4.2% touchdown ratio. 64 is his long. He's been sacked 28 times on the year. For a guy that can run a lot, that's fairly high, and a rating of 83, so solid. The only thing that really sticks out is his touchdown to interception ratio is pretty bad for a guy that won MVP a few years ago, and that's close to a 1-to-1 ratio. I think it's a 1-to-5, 1.1.5 touchdowns to interception ratio. So we should be able to get some interceptions. So the two things that we've been really struggling with brings me to point number 2. This is a game where we get a couple turnovers. I'm expecting a couple. Well, we'll get to why I think we'll rush Cam Newton to make some errant throws a little bit later. But we'll be getting pressure in his face. He'll throw it up. Our corners are way too good. They don't really have much of a number 1 receiver. Their number 1 guy isn't very good at all. So if we want to put Rhodes out to shadow him, that'll be fine with me, and then shut everybody else out. But let's look at other guy they have rushing the football. Jonathan Stewart's a leading rusher as far as attempts, with 164 attempts for 531 yards, a 3.2 average, as long as 18, and he's got 3 touchdowns on the year. I don't know why they keep feeding Jonathan Stewart so much, but I think Christian McCaffrey's just been better as a complete back. But Cam Newton, second on the list. 89 attempts for 515 yards, a 5.8 average, as long as 69, lol, and 5 touchdowns on the year. He's their best running back, come on. Christian McCaffrey, 87 attempts, 284 yards, a 3.5 average, as long as 42 touchdowns. Pretty underwhelming rushing numbers for their actual running backs, which is a good thing they have Cam Newton be their actual running back. But you'll see that McCaffrey is used as a receiver a lot too. So let's go to receiving. Christian McCaffrey leads their team in receptions with 64 for 501 yards, a 7.8 yards per attempt, long 37, and touchdowns 4. So it looks like a lot of a consistent dump offs, pick up a couple, but not many break it deep. So they do like to nickel and dime a little bit with their running backs. Their number 1 actual receiver, Devin Funchess, 54 receptions for 703 yards, a 13 yards per reception average. His long 35, and he has 6 touchdowns on the year. Ed Dixon, their number 2 tight end that's filled in for Greg Olsen for the majority of the year, has 28 receptions for 415 yards and a touchdown as well, and then a few here and there. So threat-wise, the big question mark is Greg Olsen. How healthy is he going to be? How quick is he going to be? Is he going to be the Greg Olsen that we've known in his whole career, or is he going to be injured on crutches, about to join Tony Romo in the announcing booth? Which, by the way, according to my, not going to guarantee it, but according to my my YouTube stream, we get the Tony Romo treatment. We get Tony Romo to announce the game, according to my stream. So not 100%, but according to them. So if they're wrong, go after them in the comment section. And their field goal kicker is very good. I think he's only missed 1, and that's a 50-yarder. So Gano's been very good. And overall, very solid team. Defense, probably the best linebacker group in the NFL. Luke Kuechly leading the team in tackles, of course, with 89, 36 assists, 53 total tackles, 0 sacks. We don't send them after the quarterback a lot, but that's because they love them in coverage. Luke Kuechly is also leading their team with interceptions with 3. So a guy that can take out the middle of the field. So I would not expect a very big day from Kyle Rudolph unless we put him out in the slot or somewhere else where he doesn't get matched up on Luke Kuechly. James Bradbury is second with 60 tackles. Again, only 1 sack. Thomas Davis, a very solid linebacker, has been in the league for a long time. 58 tackles, Shaq Thompson, their young linebacker, with 2 sacks, about the exact same numbers as Thomas, right over 50 tackles in that ballpark. Mike Adams, 49 tackles, one of the better safeties in the league. As far as pass rushers, Mario Addison had 8.5 sacks. Their interior defensive tackle, Quan Short, a very good one, who has 4, which is very good for a nose tackle. Julius Peppers has 8.5. The guy that was on the injury report. Captain Munnerlyn, the ex-Viking, has 2 sacks in the year as well, so they do like to send the nickel blitz every now and again as well. And you'll see they have guys all around their team with multiple sack numbers, so you don't really know exactly where it'll come. You know you really want to make sure you block up Addison and Julius Peppers. Those are the 2 studs, but they have a few other guys that can definitely get after the quarterback as well. And yeah, besides for that, they don't really have a lot of interceptions on the year. You have Kuechly has 3, then the only other guy that has a sack on the year is Mike Adams with 2. Stay away from those 2 guys, and we should be able to play pretty good turnover-free football. And it should really turn down to the fact that they have Matt Khalil going in Carolina to see his brother, and they make him start. And they have the poor little guy start, and he's gonna have to go against one of the best edge rushers in the league, Everson Griffin. Boy, I tell you what, if he gets under 3 sacks in this game, it's gonna be a disappointment. And I think it's gonna happen. Everson Griffin, not only Everson, a whole team's gonna tee off. I'm expecting 5 team sacks this game. We'll probably get 2 interceptions, 1 maybe fumble. We should have a very good game defensively. When their game is pretty much have 1 wide receiver, they might go into more of a double tight end set. That's what I would do when you have 2 solid tight ends, depending on Greg Olsen coming back health-wise. How quick is he going to be? I think he'll be fine, but he's one of them. Tight ends are a pretty tough group in the NFL, right? So Greg Olsen, maybe Dixonson on the other side. Futchiness can be okay, but Cam Newton's not very consistent with his accuracy. So as long as we beat them last year, and all they did was do some crossing routes early in the game, which got some big yards. We got that figured out. All of a sudden, they did nothing. So we covered Newton. We'll have Kendrick Spy on him. Our defensive line, we can rush 4 and get after them. Their offensive line isn't that great, especially on the left side. It's very weak. So we get after them there, get sacked, get pressure in Newton's face. I think Keenum has himself a very good day, 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, maybe. I don't think he would give up an interception at all. Our running game probably won't be too great. Maybe 60 yards for Murray, maybe 20, 30 yards for McKinnon, which already puts us to 90 yards, which is still a good, solid team day. But I don't think we run too well, although we should pass very well. And I think their offense can't really do much against us at all. So I think overall score predictions, I'll give them a little bit of an edge, a little bit more than what I would because they're in Carolina. But overall, Vikings 28, Carolina 13. So give me your score predictions in the comment section down below. And we'll see you guys in the next JRoZ Vikings video. See ya.